It's Detective Chris Brennan of the Lubbock Police Department. It is Monday, October the 10th, 2005, approximately 9:45 a.m. This is an interview taking place in connection with LPD case number 0544708. This is taking place at the Lubbock Police Department in the Persons Crimes Division in the conference room. Present in the interview at this time is myself. I'm Detective Chris Brennan. Individual you see being videoed at this point is Rosendo Rodriguez III. Rosendo, if you would, for voice identification, state your full name and your date of birth, please, sir.
Rosendo Rodriguez III.
Directly next to Rosendo is his counsel, Mr. Albert Rodriguez, and for voice identification for the recordings, would you state your full name, sir?
Yes, sir. Albert L. Rodriguez, attorney for Mr. Rosendo Rodriguez III.
Also present is Corporal Doug Sutton. I'm panning him at this time. Corporal Sutton, if you would state your name and rank.
Detective Doug Sutton, Lubbock Police Department, Crimes Against Persons Division.
Okay, Rosendo, you understand that this interview is being recorded, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And do you have any problem with that?
No.
Okay, you have legal counsel present. You can vote your rights to have legal counsel present and visit with him prior to this interview, and that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and advise you of what's called the Miranda warning, and I want you to listen to it closely. This is the same rights that we read to you the first time we came to visit with you. You have the right to remain silent and not make any statement at all. Any statement you make may be used as evidence against you at your trial. Any statement you make may be used as evidence against you. You have the right to have a lawyer present to advise you prior to and during any questioning. If you're unable to employ a lawyer, you have the right to have a lawyer appointed to advise you prior to and during any questioning. You have the right to terminate this interview at any time. Understand those rights?
Yes, sir.
Do you wish to waive those rights now and visit with Corporal Sutton and myself after this now?
Yes, sir.
What I would ask is that you keep your voice up enough that it will pick up on various recording mechanisms.
Yes, sir.
Let me just double check all these to make sure that it is recording properly. Okay. As we begin this interview session, Rosendo, you can see a bottle of water sitting on the table next to you for you to take a drink anytime you want. I'd asked you before we began the interview if you needed to use the restroom, and you indicated that you did not. Is that still correct?
Yes, sir. I already use this.
Okay. Let me go ahead and start by asking you a little bit about your background as far as your Marine Corps experience. I have some documentation in reference to that, but I'd like to see how well you remember the different levels and phases of the Marine training.
Yes, sir.
If you would, with the dates approximated as possible, go ahead and give me that information.
As far as like when I joined.
When you decided to join the Marine Corps, what made you decide to join the Marine Corps?
Okay. I joined the Marine Corps on August 23rd, 2004. That's when I reported to MCRD San Diego.
So you joined the same day you enlisted?
No, actually, a few months before, I had joined what's called the delayed entry program, and
When was that?
that was probably about, I'd say around May,
May
June, something like that, 2004. And then I actually reported to MCRD San Diego August 23rd, 2004, about like maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. That's when I stepped on the yellow footprints.
Okay. And what type of training did you receive in the United States Marine Corps?
All sorts, sir. There was like rifle marksmanship. There's of course physical training, close order drill. Basically, it's where it's like your right shoulder arms, left shoulder arms, stuff like that. You learn stuff like martial arts, core value training. You go on. They teach you outdoor survival skills. I'm trying to think. Water survival skills. That's as far as basic training. That's pretty much about it.
So I'm looks like you received 13-week, approximately 13-week recruit training for the male,
Yes, sir.
and it shows approximately 1 week martial arts training,
Yes, sir.
and it indicates here that you left with a tan belt.
Yes, sir.
Correct your reflection?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Marine training combat,
Yes, sir.
3 weeks, does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
Motor vehicle operator course,
Yes, sir.
approximately 4 weeks. And logistic vehicle specialist, logistic vehicle operator course.
Yes.
5 weeks. What is your basic, is it MOS?
Yes, my MOS is 3533. It's LVS operator. Electrical Vehicle Systems is basically a 22.5-ton vehicle that can deliver anything, basically what we call beans, bullets, band-aids, and grunts. Just ammo, chow, any kind of like logistical needs that you might need at a camp, and also we all around infantry. But I'm also qualified as 3531, which is basic motor transport, Marine. And what we do is we drive around Humvees, the MTVR 7 tons also as well. So qualified to drive basically every motor transport vehicle.
Okay. Let me go on to the weekend of September 9th, 2005.
Yes, sir.
My understanding that you had come to Lubbock in reference to training for the Marines, and came in reference to the military matter, to Lubbock, right?
Yes, sir.
And how did you arrive in Lubbock?
I flew into
On what?
Southwest Airlines.
Southwest Airlines?
Yes, sir. We had a drill weekend that weekend, and also they had called and asked for volunteers for the Hurricane Katrina relief, and I, as well as 20 other Marines, have volunteered to go out there. Every time that they had called from the Reserve Center, I volunteered. I volunteered to go to Fort Hood for 2 weeks. I didn't need to go for an AT those 2 weeks. I volunteered to go to a honor guard.
Right now, I just want to kind of stick to that weekend.
Oh, yes, sir.
On the weekend of the 9th, you say you flew in on Friday?
Yes, sir.
In Southwest.
Yes, sir.
Did you obtain any transportation?
Yes, sir, I did. I went to Enterprise Rental Car.
Enterprise rental car? Is that where you rented the red Dodge pickup?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that. Was there any special reason you rented the Dodge?
The reason being is because they had told us that we were going to be possibly deployed for the Hurricane Katrina relief. We were going to ride in a convoy to Texarkana. Then from Texarkana, we were going to go down to New Orleans, go down there and help out. But they ended up putting us on standby after all. If I would have got a car, taken a car from San Antonio, I would have had to leave it up there in Lubbock, so I got a truck.
Who is, you say they told us, who is your commanding officer?
It's going to be Major Carter.
Major Carter?
Yes.
And is he the one who advised you of this information? Or who advised you of what you're saying, what they told us?
It was basically what we do is we get volunteer calls. I got a call from Corporal York and also Sergeant Bennett, as well as First Sergeant Metzger. He also debriefed us on what we're going to do. So.
Okay. Going forward, you rented that red vehicle.
Yes.
And I want to take it, kind of jump forward throughout the weekend, bringing us up to the point in time of, let's go from Sunday evening. You had finished your drill, from what I found out from talking to individuals out at the Reserve Center. You finished your duty somewhere around 1,600 hours Sunday evening, is that correct?
Yes.
And that would be Sunday evening to 11. Okay. If you would take us forward from that point on, what transpired during the evening hours of Sunday evening?
Sunday evening?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Excuse me. May I ask?
Yes.
We're skipping Saturday.
Okay. Is there?
Yes, it's extremely important.
Okay.
The day before us. I want him to keep it in chronological.
That'd be fine then. Anything that you think is relevant
Yes.
involving this case, let's go ahead and step back to that. Anything that you think is relevant, go ahead and explain to me. Keep in mind that this entire conversation is being recorded. Okay. Be as detailed as possible about what the information you're telling me.
Yes, sir.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay, Saturday, I had gotten out of, Saturday night, I had gotten out of drill. Went to the hotel, got showered, squared away, everything. Was going to go down to Whataburger, got something to eat. And then I came out, and as I was driving down Q, I had noticed a woman. She was walking down the street. So I
Stop for just a moment. Which motel are you saying that you would stay at?
Holiday Inn.
Holiday Inn, the one there at 8th and Avenue Q?
Yes, sir.
And specifically, what do you recall the room that you stayed in?
60, like, I believe it was 609.
609. That's the information that we had as well. Okay. Go ahead, Hon.
So I was driving down the street, and I noticed a woman. She was walking on as you're going north, I noticed that she was on the right side of the street. So I pulled up, and she was walking like this, and looked like she was distressed. She was crying. So I was like, "Excuse me, are you all right?" She goes, "Yes, I'm fine. I'm fine." I was like, did you need some help? Are you in trouble or something?" And she's like, "No, I'm fine. Just I was like, can you give me a ride?" I was like, "No, fine." So she gets in the truck. We go, and I was like, "Look, do you want me to call the police or something?" It looked like I could tell something was wrong because she was distressed about something. So she's like, "Yes, if you can help me out, that's fine. But I don't want you to call the cops." She obviously did not want to have me call the authorities. So I told her, "Well, what happened? Did you get in a fight or something?" Well, she goes, "Well, she was telling me that she had gotten into some kind of altercation with," and she said it like this, not necessarily like a racial intonation, but she said like, this. I was like, "Okay, well, did you need me to did you just need to get cleaned up or something?" She's like, "Yes, if you don't mind, I'm fine." So we went to the room there at the Holiday Inn at 609. We go upstairs, we walk inside, and she goes, she uses a restroom, she wipes off her face, everything. We sit down, I ask her, "Are you okay? Are you, all right?" She's like, "I'm fine. I just need to, calm down. Is it cool if I use your phone?" Go ahead. She goes, she makes a phone call. I didn't pay attention to the gist of the conversation. I was watching TV. I said, "Did you need me to take you anywhere?" She goes, "Oh, would you mind taking me home?" I said, "That's fine." So we go downstairs, we get in the truck. Before we leave, she goes, "Is it cool if we go by the 7-Eleven?" I was like, "Sure." It's a 7-Eleven that's located right across the street from the hotel. So we go over there. She goes inside. She gets a couple items. And as she's coming out, I guess she recognized some people. Because she goes into her car, she starts talking to a couple of folks. And after she's done there, she's there for about 5-10 minutes. She gets up, she comes around to the truck, she gets in, and then she directs me, "Go over to 26th and Avenue N." I was like, "All right." So we go, and there's a street that's perpendicular to 26th. I'm not really sure which one it is. I guess it was the westernmost one. Here's 26th, here's the other street. It was either N or P. I'm not sure. I pull up, and I said, and she does not want me to pull in front of the house. All she wants me to do is just stop, let her go at the other side of the street. She's going to walk the rest of the way. Go, and I let her go, turn around, go back to the hotel.
Approximately what time is it?
I would venture to say about maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Let me stop here and just so we can keep this, as you say, in a chronological order. Let me ask some additional questions in relation to this point. You say that you were driving on Avenue Q northbound, and you see her walking along the side of the road, and you decide to stop. Why did you decide to stop?
Just because she was like this, crying, and if you were any kind of, if you saw someone, was walking down the street, obviously something was wrong, just like that. Somebody, you're going to stop and you're going to say, "Hey, are you all right?"
What time of night was this now?
I was probably about, I'd say, 10 o'clock, 10:30 something.
So about 2,200 hours?
I believe so. Probably about 9:30, 10.
And she was walking on which side of the roadway?
It was going to be on the right side.
The right side of the roadway.
Right,
As
as
you're
you go
going
north.
And she was walking which way?
She was traveling north.
So she was traveling north. So you would have been coming up behind her.
Yes.
And Avenue Q's probably 20, 30 mile an hour in there.
Right. She was.
How did you notice, coming up behind somebody that they're in the position that you described? Did you slow down as you passed her? Did you slow down as you passed her?
Yes, because she was standing there, and she was just looking back and forth, kept walking, looking back and forth, kept walking.
Did you obtain this girl's name?
Yes.
And what was your name?
Summer Baldwin.
So you say you take her back to the room
Yes.
and let her clean up. Describe that more. What do you mean by clean up?
She, like I said, she had been crying. Her makeup had been running. Her face was like a little red and puffy. Her nose was like, real red and puffy. She looked like.
Okay. I'm saying as far as what instances did she do to clean up? Did she use any wash rags, anything like that? Did she take a shower?
No, sir. She just used a restroom. She used the sink to wash her face. Got a rag. Jot herself off. That was about it.
Do you remember any of the conversation that you had with her?
Basically, she just said that she had indicated that she did not want to go home. At the point, she had gotten a bit of an altercation. I didn't really want to ask. She obviously she did not want to go back, and I told her, I was like, is there a shelter, or something that you want to go to? She's like, no, it's fine, I'll be fine.
So then you take her to 26 and N. Is she indicating that's where her residence is?
I suppose she just said that she needed to go there.
All right. Did you see what house she went into?
No, sir.
And about what time was this?
This was about when I took her home.
Mm-hmm.
It was about probably 12:30, 1 o'clock, something like that. I'd been through.
So 30, 0130 to, 0030 to 0100 hours.
Yes, sir.
And this would have actually taken us up on the Sunday morning.
Yes, sir.
You had been drinking. And how much did you consume alcohol?
I had no alcohol that night.
I thought you said you.
Sunday morning?
And you had not been drinking at this point?
No, sir.
Okay.
That's what you asked him to go into the next day.
Is there any other contact you had with her that night that you think we need to be made aware of?
No, sir.
Go ahead into Sunday now.
Into Sunday, I woke up about probably 0500, went to drill. Got out of drill about, I'd say about maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock. Went to the hotel. Went upstairs, got dressed, got squared away, and called my friend Chris. We went out to the library to go. Actually, I went to go pick him up and stayed at his apartment and talked to him for a while. We were going to go see a movie, but we ended up going to the library.
Okay.
And from there, we had a few.
What time was this that you went over? And you're referring to Chris, is that correct?
Yes.
Very long time friend of yours.
Yes.
From information.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about Chris?
He's a good guy, a stand-up guy. I mean, he's,
Okay.
trustworthy.
Okay. Go ahead then on. You go over to Chris's. You stay there at the house. Do you remember meeting with anybody there at the apartment? And was that his apartment, or did you go to his girlfriend's
Yes. apartment?
or
It was his apartment.
his apartment? Okay. Y'all meet with anybody else then?
I just met with some of his friends and stuff like that.
Do you remember any of their names?
Just his girlfriend, Laura. That's about it.
And then from there, where do you go?
We go to the library, sir.
How long? And the library, just for anyone who's not from Lubbock, what is the library?
The library it's a bar. It's over in the Depot District. The name of it is a library. It's just it's a common running joke. Most parents often wonder where their kids are at, and they tell them they're at the library. It's a bar. So technically, they're not lying. So.
And how long do y'all stay there?
We stayed there just probably about till, I'd say maybe 12:30, 1. No, we didn't shut the place down. Just,
So now you're actually getting into Monday morning.
yes.
And about how much alcohol had you consumed there at the library?
I'd say about maybe 3 beers.
About 3 beers?
Yes, sir.
What about Chris?
Probably about 3, 4.
Who was buying the beer?
We were gonna go halves, but I ended up buying
Any special reason you bought it, or?
it. No, sir. He offered to pay, but I told him, hey, look, I hadn't seen you in a long time, man. So,
Do you remember talking with any of Chris's friends there at the library?
there was one girl, Tia. I'm trying to think of her last name. I can't remember.
T is correct. Do you remember any of the conversation that y'all were having there at the library?
Just, he was just telling about his girlfriend, how they were doing, stuff like that. Just, wanting to see, if I was going to come back to tech and all that.
What were you telling him about? What was your side of the conversation when you were talking?
I told him, I said, I'm making that to tech. I mean, I like San Antonio a lot. I'd like to, I would like to come back up here, but I was like, but I'm down at, I was down in San Antonio, had a good job. So.
Okay. Do you remember talking anything about, your military training or anything of that nature?
Not particularly. We just talked a lot about, like, he asked me, how's the Marines and stuff like that, and I told him, about my drill weekend. We were talking about, like, going out. I told him about going to the Hurricane Katrina relief, stuff like that weekend.
Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and go forward now.
Yes.
So you leave the library approximately 1 a.m. and you're driving the red pickup truck, correct?
Yes.
And where do y'all go?
Take him back to Jefferson Commons.
And was that his request, your decision? What?
Well, he was riding with me. I went to go pick him up, so there was naturally had to.
So you dropped him off there at Jefferson Commons.
Yes.
And then proceed forward with what you do next.
I dropped him off at probably around 1:30. Get up on West Loop, going south. Hit South Loop, going east. So I'm going east. I get off on the exit for University. Take it, go under the loop, go all the way down to 50th and University. Take a right on 50th, go all the way down, take a left on Q, travel all the way down Q. And it was probably around, I'd say, 24th, about 24th and Q, 22nd and Q, that I noticed Summer. She was walking down the road on the right side.
24th and Q.
About 24th, 22nd and Q.
And this is about what time?
I'd say about 1:30, 2 o'clock.
And you notice you're walking down the road.
Yes.
What brought your attention to her?
She looked familiar. So I went, I pulled up next to her. I was like, hey. I was like, how you doing? Like that. She's like, oh, fine. She was like, she kind of looked a little, I guess you'd say, out of it. She was like a little bit, this motion. And I was like, are you sure you're all right? And she's like, no, I'm fine. And I was like, did you need a ride somewhere? She goes, is it cool if we just go and chill at your place? Like that. Her voice was kind of wavered. I was like, yeah, that's fine. Just want to hang out. So she gets in the truck and we go to the hotel.
This is the same hotel Holiday Inn?
Yes, sir.
That they had. So y'all go to the motel room. Is there anybody else there with you?
No.
Explain what goes on next.
Okay. Well, we sat on the bed. The lights were off. We were watching TV. And I just asked her, how are you doing so far? I was like, fine. Just made idle chit-chat. and then we were in kind of close proximity. So we end up, kind of like leaning towards each other. We end up kissing, having sex.
So y'all end up kissing and having sex. Be as detailed as possible. Explain to me what you're talking about as far as what brought the conversation of kissing.
Well, we were just in close proximity and just talking, just about. She was telling me, these things like she had moved to Lubbock and everything else, and we were just watching TV and we just leaned over and started kissing.
And this is on the bed.
Yes, sir.
What was she wearing?
Jeans and a jacket, a shirt I couldn't quite remember.
Jeans and a jacket. What kind of jacket?
It's kind of like a blue jacket.
And was it a windbreaker type? Was it?
It was kind of like a thin material.
I noticed that I was checking through your room receipt, and I see where you had a couple of charges for either one or two purchased movies.
It was one, sir. Star Wars.
One. When did you? Were you watching that night, or were y'all watching something else?
No, sir. We're just watching TV.
Do you recall what you were watching?
No, sir. I just flipped the channels. Wasn't really paying attention.
So, is there anything at all you were watching specifically?
No, sir. It's probably like infomercials on TV. That's about it.
How long do you think y'all were watching TV before?
I'd say probably about 15, 20 minutes.
15 or 20 minutes. Do you recall any show?
About that time, no, sir. There was like a couple of movies like on the TBS, TNT, but I mean, it's nothing like I wasn't really paying attention.
Going back to what Summer was wearing at the time, you say blue jeans and a shirt that you don't recall. Was she carrying anything?
She had it's like a handbag.
Handbag? Can you describe the handbag to me?
That was brownish type.
And how big was it?
Probably I'd say maybe about that big.
Okay, so you're describing like 8 inches, 10 inches tall by maybe a foot wide.
Yes.
And about how thick
It was about maybe that thick.
So about 6 inches thick.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where was it?
It was
The handbag.
It was on the floor right next to the bed, right next to the table.
Which side? Which side of the bed?
As you're facing the television, it would have been on the left side.
So let's move forward to the point where you say y'all start kissing and that ultimately have sex.
Yes, sir.
Explain in detail what occurred as far as from the kissing to the point where you're having intercourse. Describe what's going on.
We start, kissing, fondling each other. She removes her clothes, I remove mine, and as we're sitting there, we just start having, as we're having sex. She seemed, I guess you'd say, a little agitated, maybe. It was, she appeared to, she was kind of like breathing a little hard, it sounded as if she was like just, having a really, like, just having a hard time, I guess.
Okay.
And it's probably about maybe 10 minutes, and then I stopped. I come, I guess you said.
Okay. Let me stop you there for a second and kind of get a little bit more detail here. You say you did climax.
Yes.
Were you using any type of protection?
Yes.
And where had you obtained that protection from?
I had bought it from I had, I believe it was across the street from Summer.
When did you purchase that?
I had bought that probably at the beginning of the weekend.
Beginning of the week?
Around the beginning of the weekend, maybe. Let's say, maybe even that night, I believe. Beginning of the weekend, somewhere around there. I purchased them at the 7-Eleven because I've been there, I've been at the 7-Eleven several times that weekend.
But you don't recall if it was that night or if you purchased it. You say at the beginning of the weekend, now you're saying it may have been that night.
It might have been that night. I've been to the 7-Eleven several times to go purchase items. I got, Gatorade, stuff like that.
And you were speaking about a condom.
Yes, sir.
Was it one condom? Was it a multiple condoms?
No, it's a pack of condoms.
And approximately how many?
Probably about 3 or 4.
Explain the sexual acts that you were having as far as when you were involved with sex or something. Was it the physical positioning that you both were in and where it occurred at?
Gosh, probably her on the bed. She was lying on her back, and then also her and her back, and we were just like moving around on the bed as she was on her back.
Mm-hmm.
We'd end up being like over here, then we'd like scoot over here, and scoot over here.
Okay. And the sexual acts that y'all had, was it just normal, you say mid position, was it just normal sex? Did y'all do anything that some people might consider a little bit unusual?
She went down on me, and then also I had as we were going in, as we were like having sex, we also had from behind also.
Now, is this with her still on her back?
Yes, sir.
So her knees would have had to been in a rather unique position. Is that correct?
They were kind of like on the side, like here, but I mean, she was discomforted by it. She was discomforted. It looked like kind of like the whole time. So.
What do you mean she was discomforted? Was she verbally saying she was discomforted?
No, she like had a like this look on her face, like she was pained.
Pain.
Yes.
Okay. And is that the whole time you were having sex, or is that when you started having that sex?
No, it was the whole time. Yes, sir.
But yet y'all continued on for 10 minutes, you're saying?
Yes.
And why was that?
That I asked her, I was like, "Are you fine?" She's like, "Yes, I'm fine. I'm fine."
Let's go forward now. You say that you had sex, and you said complete the sexual act. Then what occurred?
After we were done, I go get a pair of shorts, turn on the light, go around to go use the restroom. And I go to the sink, wash myself off. And as I'm coming back around, she's sitting, she's facing away from me. Like, here's the edge of the bed, here's the chair, here's the table. And she's leaning over, and it looks like, I heard a light, she's lighting something. I figured that, she was lighting a cigarette maybe. It was a smoking room, I figured, it wasn't, when I walked up, I saw that she had a pipe. I didn't think, she was like that. She's lighting a pipe. It was like metallic with, it was like silver with like little gold nubs. And at the end, it looks like one of those things that you used to scrub pots with, like SOS or like a Brillo. And when I saw that, I told her, I was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And she didn't respond. She just kept lighting it. It was a metallic burning smell, like a chemical smell. And I told her, hey, don't do that. And I took the pipe away. I was like, hey, don't do that stuff. She got irate at that point. She said, give me back my pipe, this and that. I was like, no, I don't want you to smoke that in here. Why don't you just go ahead and dressed. And
So at this point, she's still totally new?
yes, sir.
So does she begin getting dressed or what?
No.
Explain to me as detailed as possible.
So I turn around, but I figure she's going for her clothes. She goes into her bag. She pulls out a knife. It's one of those little yellow fold-out ones. It looks yellowish, kind of like bone or wood. And she stands up, and she comes towards me. She goes, give me my fucking pipe. At that point, I'm thinking, oh shit. It's like, look, it's like, take it, just, get dressed, leave. She goes, not like that, fuck you and everything else like that. She starts coming towards me. She asks, where's your wallet? I told her, look, it's over there. It's just don't swipe at me. Don't cut me, please. She's coming towards me, and as she has the knife, like, you're me, I'm her. She has the knife in her right hand. And as she comes towards me, I reach for her wrist, the one that has the knife, and I go and I pull her arm around like this. Like that.
So you pull the arm around behind her?
Yes, sir.
And where are you? You're behind her at this point?
Yes, sir.
And where are y'all standing in the room?
We're standing still kind of like, here's the bed, there's the table, there's the chair. We're standing up right here in front of the bed. So as I have her there, I grab her hand, the one that has a knife in it. I grab it with this hand, and with my other hand, I have it around her like this.
Okay.
Around her throat, like that.
You have her arm pulled around her throat?
No,
Your arm?
her arm is right here with the knife, and it's right here. That's where her arm is. My arm came around her neck like that. And I tell her, hey, quit, chop the knife, quit, this ain't, I'm not, I was like, just, quit trying to, swinging her arm back and forth. She's only do all this. We're starting to struggle. We fall kind of like towards the bed on the like where the chair and the table is, and she had this. It was like a just this grunting sound like that. And she kept swinging the knife around, and it's right there. She's she's like grabbing at my arm with the knife. That's when I noticed her nose started bleeding. Like this gush of like blood just comes down. Like right there by the bed, kind of like on the floor. Also just on the side, right there. She rears back. We kind of fall back. I don't fall. We just stumble, and we start falling back, and towards where the door was. Going back towards the door. She's still, kicking. I've got a hold of her hand. The knife's still flicking around. And I'm going over towards the door, and I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to throw her out. But the only thing is that if I let go of her hand, the knife's going to come out swinging. If I let go of her arm, she's going to start swinging with the arm. So instead, we're sitting there, we're fighting by the door, and I tell her, drop the knife, let it go, She still wouldn't. Finally, I noticed that, she quit, she stopped fighting. So I go and I let her go. She was lying across from where the carpet meets the tile floor from the bathroom. sit there on the toilet. And at this point, I'm panicking. I'm freaking out. My arm is sitting there. It's shaking because I had it rigid for so long. She's lying on the floor. She's not moving. She's lying on the floor. She's not moving. I'm sitting there. I'm just scared.
So you're saying that you're sitting on the toilet
Yes, sir.
and she's lying on the floor.
Yes, sir. So I go and I check. I checked to see if she was still breathing. I checked her pulse on her wrist and there was nothing. Just a million things started running through my mind.
What were those?
I couldn't believe what was happening. I just got I didn't know what to do.
Did you
So
have
I
your
got-
cell phone with you?
I didn't have. It wasn't on me. It wasn't in my pockets.
Was your cell phone in your room?
Yes, sir.
Was it the same cell phone you used to call Chris earlier in the night?
Yes, sir.
Did you have a phone in that hotel room?
Yes, sir.
Was the phone working?
Yes, sir.
What
I
did you
put
decide to do?
I put on my shirt. I put on this. I had sandals, and I thought I should have called. I should have called him.
During this time that you're deliberating on what to do, you say you have the presence of mind to check your pulse. Correct. In your military training, did you receive any first aid training?
Yes, sir.
Did you receive any training as far as CPR?
Yes, sir. The only thing was that her face was, she had blood, like on her nose and on her mouth.
You were a trained Marine, though, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you attempt CPR?
No, sir. I didn't. After I checked her, I didn't get a pulse. I didn't think. I didn't think to try to resuscitate or anything.
Tell me what you did next. Then. What did you decide to do next? Tell me the time span.
Went, got dressed.
What
I
were you
went
wearing?
a polo shirt and some shorts. Sandals. I went downstairs, got in the truck, drove to Walmart, bought a suitcase.
And is this
Lots
the
of blood.
Walmart? Which Walmart is this?
It's the one over on South Loop. I bought a suitcase and I bought some clothes because there was blood there. I left, went back to the hotel.
So you bought a suitcase and disposable gloves,
Yes, sir.
and you paid for those how?
I used a card.
Your debit card.
Yes, sir.
And approximately what time is this?
About 2:30, 3:30,
Between 2:30 and 3:30.
somewhere around there. I'm not
So you go and you make these purchases.
Yes, sir.
And you purchase the gloves because you know there's blood there.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Go for it. And what do you decide to do next?
Go to the hotel and I open the suitcase. I lift her and I place her inside. I shut the suitcase. And I go,
Okay. Let me stop you. Again, try to be as descriptive as possible. Exactly what you do. Very detailed. Do you use do you use the gloves, the disposable gloves, or handling her or what?
no, sir. I didn't use the gloves afterward.
Just for purposes of the audio recording, it's roughly 10-30 hours, and you can flip the tape over at this point. Okay. So you say at this point you had not used the disposable gloves.
No, sir. So I pick her up and I place her inside the suitcase.
Okay. So was the suitcase laying on the bed? Was it laying on the floor?
No, sir. It was on the floor.
It was on the floor. How was she clothed?
She was not.
She was not clothed. And so you put her in the suitcase. Do you recall how you had to place her in the suitcase? Can you describe that to me?
Like that.
Indicating that you had to fold your body up to get in there. Is that correct?
A little bit.
You say a little. Did you have to fracture any bones, break anything,
No, sir.
hit anything like that, or were you able to just bend her?
No,
body?
sir. It was just just all I did was just place her in there. It wasn't any kind of
So you placed her.
Yes, sir.
What did you do next?
I went and I got one of those Holiday Inn, the dry clean bags that they have there in the closet. I got it. I collected her clothing. Got some of the hotel towels. Wiped up some of the blood. By this time, I already had the gloves on.
Okay.
Wiped up some of the blood. Placed all these articles in the bag. There was a sheet on the bed that I had taken off. Had a little bit of blood on it. Placed it in the bag. As I was going through, I had noticed that there were two knives. One was metallic, and the other one was the one that was over there by the bathroom, the one that she had. I placed those, I put them on the bed. The rest of the stuff I went and gathered and put in a sack.
Explain to me. You say as I was going through, you found the knives. You mean as you were
So
going
I was
through?
walking through the room.
Where was the other knife?
The other knife was by the bed. It was like she had taken, I guess, both out, and the other one was by the foot of the bed, by her handbag.
I have some knives here which have been turned over. These are just pictures of knives
Yes,
turned
sir.
over by your attorney to Ranger Collins. This is
Yes, sir. These are
This is an accurate portrayal from Ranger Collins that was emailed to me. These are the two knives that were collected from your attorney, Albert Rodriguez. Which one of these knives are you saying was used in this?
this one, sir. And this is the other one that was by the bed.
Then, so you collect the knives and you lay them on the bed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me what's the next thing you do.
After I collect the articles of clothing, the handbag, I get everything, I get all that, get the suitcase, and I go and I take everything outside. She had the crack pipe, the one that had fallen down.
Mm-hmm.
That one, it had been I had thrown it in the trash right next to the Coke machines there at the Holiday.
Okay.
And after that, the elevator came. I went downstairs and took the suitcase and the bag, the clothing, the handbag. I put it in the truck. I got in the truck. I went down and over by where the Guadalupe Center is.
So you're carrying the suitcase down?
Yes, sir.
And you're rolling it down?
Yes, sir.
Do you take it down the elevator? Do you take it down?
Take it down the
stairway?
elevators.
Do you take it out just straight out the front of the lobby?
No, sir. There's a side door.
Do you take it out the side door?
Yes, sir.
Did you have to go get your pickup and drive your pickup around to the side? Or?
No, sir. My pickup was already on the side.
So you take it out. Do you put the suitcase in the bed of the pickup, or do you put it in the cab of the pickup? Where do you put the suitcase?
The suitcase was there right beside me in the cab.
So you actually put it up in the cab portion of the truck.
Yes, sir.
And you have the clothing. Where is it?
It's on the floorboard.
Where's her purse?
Her purse is right there, too.
Is it in the bag as well, or is it separate? Or what?
No, it's separate.
So you have purse, the bag, and her body now in a suitcase.
Yes, sir.
Right. Is there anything else?
That's all that I can think of.
What do you do next?
I go and I drive down Q. I take a right, and you remember where those old grain elevators used to be?
Yes.
Like over there? Over there, that's by kind of where the Guadalupe Center is.
Correct.
Okay. I turn down that street where okay. Here's the Guadalupe Center, right? There's a street, I turn right, and then I take like another right in a residential neighborhood. I pull into an alley, and I go down, and I pull around to a dumpster that's at the end. And I remember it had like, there's the alley, then there's some grass with like 3 trees on it. The dumpster's right here in the alley. Then there's a street running behind that. I pick up the suitcase, place it in the dumpster. I drive down, take the bag and her handbag, her purse, throw it in the dumpster. Probably like maybe about a few dumpsters down, and then I leave.
Okay. Where do you put the suitcase?
Put it inside the dumpster.
Okay. About what time in the morning is
Probably say about maybe 4:35.
this? 4:35 a.m.
About that time, I'd say. I'm not quite sure.
And when you put her body in the suitcase into the dumpster,
Yes, sir.
did you cover it up with anything? Did you just throw it in there? Did you try to conceal it under stuff?
No, sir. I just placed it in
You just placed it in there? And you were by yourself?
there. Yes, sir.
Okay. What did you do next?
I got in the truck. I went to the hotel. Sat there. I stayed up for a while. Just kind of out of it. I couldn't believe what just happened. So after a while, I went to sleep.
Okay. So you went to sleep? About what time was that?
Maybe about 8 o'clock.
8 a.m.?
Yes, sir.
And this is Monday morning.
Yes, sir.
Did you go for the 7-Eleven anytime that day?
I might have. The only thing I remember else doing was probably maybe going to Chick-fil-A, going to go see something to eat, going to the 7-Eleven, made an ATM withdrawal. That was about it.
Okay. Where'd you make your ATM withdrawal?
I believe it was down there in the lobby.
All right. Is that where you made a lot of your ATMs? Was in the lobby
Yes, sir.
of the hotel?
Yes, sir.
And then you go to Chick-fil-A and you get something to eat. About what time of day was that?
It was in probably like the late afternoon.
Do you recall what you ordered?
2 number ones, value size.
2 number 1 value size. From which restaurant?
It's the Chick-fil-A over there in front of, kind of by Hobby Lobby. south past the loop on Slide.
You go back to your room.
Yes,
Or what did you do after that?
I just sat there. I got a movie. Watched Star Wars.
So you rented a movie in the motel room?
Yes, sir.
About what time was that?
That I couldn't quite say. Probably about maybe 4:35. I would imagine. I don't know.
So you rent Star Wars
Yes, sir.
and you watched Star Wars. Did you call anyone else during the day?
I tried calling probably Chris. I may have talked to my parents.
I'll give you this. We've already talked to Chris on this or not. Do you recall calling Chris that day?
I might have. I don't know. I think he tried calling me also.
Do you recall talking with Chris and saying that you wanted to hang out?
He had mentioned the fact that he wanted to hang out, but that he couldn't. He had a bunch of stuff to do. He was tired.
So you recall that conversation?
Yes, sir.
That he said he had a bunch of stuff to do,
Right. We
So-
that he couldn't go out that
so
night,
that indicates
and I didn't.
he was the one busy. So actually, you would have been the one making the call if he's saying that he's too busy to hang out, correct?
Or he could have called because we had planned on going out later, but either way, I didn't feel like, at that point, I didn't feel like doing it.
You're saying that Chris called you,
He either called me or I called him. Other one, but the conversation did take place.
but you recalled him saying that he had something else to do.
Or that he just, he didn't indicate that he wanted to go out that night.
Do you recall anything else about the conversation you had with Chris?
No, otherwise I told him, I was probably going to go back home because I was leaving the next day.
And then what did you do the rest of the evening?
I had to stay there in the hotel.
When you checked out, when was that?
It was the next morning.
Tuesday morning?
Yes, sir.
About what time?
It was probably at around maybe 9, 10 o'clock. I'm not quite sure. I had to catch a bus, a Greyhound.
We have copies of that information. We had 2 bags that you on the bus. How many bags did you have?
I had 2 duffel bags, and then I had my combat backpack.
And you decided to take the knives with you,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Why did you do that?
Because at a later point, I wanted to contact the authorities.
And you say that at a later point you wanted to contact the authorities, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I'm assuming you're saying that you wanted to contact authorities to talk about what happened?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your father's an attorney, is he not?
Yes, sir.
How long has he been an attorney?
Graduated tech law in about 1976, I think.
So you say that he's been an attorney for probably close to 30 years.
Yes, sir.
Would you believe that your knowledge of the legal process, the judicial system, is probably a little bit above the average individual
I would,
because of your association with your father?
I would say so. I mean, yes, it's a logical guess.
Hence, you took the knives with you that you're saying that were involved in this matter, right? Now, if I understood you correctly, you say that you discarded the crack pipe that you say she had.
Right.
That you threw it away?
Yes, sir.
How come you didn't take the crack pipe?
Because I'm not a crack user.
This matter is involving the death of an individual,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
And you say the reason it started all this, according to you, is because of this crack pipe,
Yes, sir.
but yet you discard the crack pipe.
Yes.
Is that correct, what you're saying?
Yes, sir. Because if I would have had this pipe on me, and say, I don't know, like a police officer or something, they walk through, you know, you can't. I do not want to carry any kind of drugs on me. That's
You don't want to carry any kind of drugs, but you're transporting a deceased person stuffed in a suitcase.
like,
You're saying you've got a above average perception of the legal system,
yes, sir.
enough to take these knives you say were involved. But the whole matter started with this crack pipe, and you discard it. Yet you're carrying a deceased person's body around stuffed in a suitcase.
Yes, sir.
I'm just wanting to
No,
clarify.
I understand.
And the sheets rolled up in the bag that were discarded. There was 2 sets of gloves found in that bag, because it has. I'll give you that we have recovered a bag that was discarded in the trash, and it had information, evidence in it, which appears at this time we haven't done the DNA on it, but it appears to be consistent with evidence in this case. There's 2 sets of disposable gloves in there. Why the 2 sets?
Because whenever you take them out, they're like stuck together. So
Did you wear both pairs? Wear them at different times?
No, sir, not that I recall. I recall only putting on one pair.
So there wouldn't be any reason for your DNA to be inside both pairs of gloves?
I wouldn't think so.
What did you do with her wallet?
I placed it inside of the bag.
Inside of which bag?
Inside of one of the bags from the Holiday Inn.
In another bag? A separate bag?
I believe so. I think it was also a trash bag.
Can you describe her wallet to me?
Not. It was dark colored. That's about all I remember.
Dark colored wallet. I'll give you that we have recovered her wallet as well. Where did you place her wallet?
In one of the bags, sir.
Okay. What did you do with that bag?
Threw it in the dumpsters.
Okay. Which dumpster did you throw it in correlation to the downtown area?
There was one. It's over there by the Guadalupe Center, and then there was. I had noticed that there was one place. It's kind of like by 7-Eleven, I guess, around there.
It's about 7-Eleven around 18th Campus.
Yes, sir.
I'll give you that the wallet was recovered from a dumpster between 14th and 15th Street between Q and Avenue R. Does that sound consistent with the area that you're talking
I
about?
would think so. It's kind of like it's by on the same side of the street where the 7-Eleven is.
Why did you see to take her wallet out of her purse and separate it from the other property that you talked about?
Her wallet was, I believe, with maybe another article of clothing. It's no particular reason. I had noticed that it was out, and I just wanted to just get rid of it all. There's no reason why.
Okay, explain to me. You say you noticed it was out.
Yes, sir.
Was it out of the purse? Was it in the purse?
No, sir. It was outside of the purse.
Okay. This is something we haven't really gone into before. And I'm telling you to be as detailed as possible
Yes, sir.
about this. Why was her wallet outside of the purse?
I guess she was fumbling around inside of it whenever she pulled out the knives.
Why did you see the need, if you disposed of her body in the dumpster over by the Guadalupe Center, and that's north of 4th Street, east of Avenue Q, and then some 18 blocks away is where you dispose of her wallet. Why did you see fit to do that?
Because after I placed her in the dumpster, and some of the articles that she had over there down from that dumpster where she was in, I noticed that there was still some stuff inside the truck.
Okay. So when do you notice this?
As I'm coming back, going to the hotel.
Okay. Say as you're going back to the hotel's at 8th Street.
Yes, sir.
How come you drive all the way up to 15th Street to dispose of this property?
I don't exactly remember. So just went, pulled in, just random dumpster, threw it in there.
So on Tuesday, you returned to San Antonio.
Yes, sir.
You arrived home according to information I've spoken to your father and information from your bus receipts around 2100 hours, about 9 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What did you do when you got back to San Antonio?
Just went in, said hello to my folks. Did that.
Said hello to your folks. Who was all there?
My mother, my father, and my grandmother.
Your mother, your father, and your grandmother. Who picked you up?
My parents.
Your parents, both your parents picked you up?
Yes, sir.
And this is the parent that's been turned,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Mother and father.
Jr. Did you talk to him about what had gone on in Lubbock?
No, I was wanting to talk to him later because I didn't want to talk to him like, you know, in front of my mom and my grandmother. I wanted to get to him. I wanted to talk to somebody. I mean, I didn't like, you know, didn't say, hey, Dad, you know, something to talk to you about. But I was like, you know, Bob, yeah. I mean, he asked me, you know, how everything was, how the weekend went. I indicated, you know, I was just disappointed that, you know, I didn't get to go to the Hurricane Katrina relief. We were put on standby. And but mainly I was upset because of this.
But verbalize why. You say you were told him you were upset or disappointed about not getting to go to the hurricane relief, but you didn't mention anything about
No, sir.
being upset over that.
He could tell that I was. He could tell I was upset. But and sir, and I just wanted to say that, you know, ever since when I was detained in San Antonio and I was brought to the DPS station. Do you remember, like, when we first met and we went to another room and you asked me, is there anything you want to talk to me about? And I said, yes, sir, but only in the guise of an attorney.
Correct.
Okay. I told you in Detective Sutton that. Because I did want to, this,
Do you recall that conversation was recorded?
Yes.
That's the first part of the conversation.
Yes.
Do you recall us saying you're free to call your attorney?
yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir.
You said you'd rather wait and talk to an attorney.
Yes, sir.
And that you would get back to us.
Yes, sir. From the first day, I did want to speak to you all. That day, I told you and Detective Sutton, yes, sir, I do want to speak, but only in the presence of an attorney. After the photograph session here, I had asked to speak to you in private. We went to your office, and I told you, sir, I do want to talk to you, just in the presence of an attorney. And then,
And that wasn't you asking me. I took you into the
All right, yes,
room, and I said, if you want to talk to me, you need to get back in touch with us.
yes, sir.
And I'll listen to what you have to say.
Yes, sir. And then also, I tried to call you from the jail, and also I didn't get a chance to talk to you. And it wasn't until this past Wednesday? It was this past Wednesday until that I was told that we were going to have an interview.
Did you tell anybody else? Did you tell anybody about this?
No, sir.
Did you seek guidance from anyone, a priest, an attorney,
No,
a
sir.
friend?
No, sir.
Do you recall talking with and some of the things I'm going to ask you now is related to this because it involves this entire weekend. But a lot of this is coming down to your word against a female's word that cannot speak for herself because she's no longer here.
Yes, sir.
So, as far as Chris, do you recall talking to him about your experiences in Iraq?
I told him that I've gone through the Marines and was going to Iraq. Our unit's leaving, I believe, in April.
Okay. Do you recall sharing rather graphic stories with him about instances you've been involved in issues where you've been deployed in Iraq?
Nothing. I told him that, I had seen scenes about people being blown out, stuff like that. As far as what they showed us in boot camp, stuff like that.
Do you recall specifically saying, though, that you were involved in these, and you were alleging, according to Chris, that you were actually deployed to Iraq?
He asked me if I had been, and I kind of, told him I had been over there. But,
So you told him you had been deployed to Iraq? Why did you give false information surrounding supposed deployment to Iraq in a wartime situation?
Just because he seemed curious about it, and I just kind of fed his imagination.
I'm sorry?
I just kind of fed his imagination.
So you fed his imagination by talking about that. So you did talk to him about issues when you were never actually deployed to Iraq, is that correct? Do you recall talking to his girlfriend Laura, where y'all were sitting there at the apartment, about experiences where you were deployed in Iraq?
I don't remember it talking. I remember talking to her, but I don't remember what the conversation was about.
Would you say that would, but you do recall having conversations?
Yes.
Do you recall having conversations with individuals at the motel where you either directly or indirectly gave the inference that you had been deployed to Iraq?
No, sir, not those.
No one at all?
I had told him that I just got out of active duty for my training. That was about it.
Do you recall ever being in a fraternity in your life?
Yes, sir.
And what fraternity was
I'll make it up to
that? Any other fraternities?
Cairo.
Cairo? So Omega Delta Phi and Cairo.
Yes, sir.
And are you still in those fraternities?
No, sir.
Both of them? You're out of both of them?
Yes, sir.
And how would you say you had left those fraternities?
As far as Omega Delta Phi, I stopped going as far as like to the meetings and things. And as far as Cairo, it was just kind of on bad blood, merely because I had some problems with some members.
Okay. Do you remember any specific member that you had problems with?
They're in Omega Delta Phi or Cairo.
Cairo.
Cairo, there was one guy, Andrew, that had confronted me. He had kind of like got in my face. He threatened to use like a candlestick against me, and we got in a bit of a shoving match.
Given someone else's perception, do you think it would be possible for someone to say that they felt that you had lost control in that instance?
I wouldn't say I lost control. I was being verbally, like physically threatened. The guy was getting in my face, and he had indicated that he had indicated to people later on that he wanted to use a weapon on me.
So you say that you felt like you were in control,
Yes, sir.
and this was a guy that was using a candlestick.
He had threatened to.
Friends using. And what did you do in response to that threat?
He got in my face. He made a move like he was going to hit me, and I went, pushed him away, got in a shoving match on the floor, and that was about it. I was stopped by another guy.
Okay. Would you say that, was it that one instance that led to you leaving Cairo, as you say, under bad blood, or were there other instances brought forth about inappropriate contact with females?
There were some girls that I had dated in there. I talked to one girl while I was dating another one, and they got mad about that, and so everybody was just like, you know what? I was like, maybe it's just best if you leave.
Do you remember those girls' names?
And knowledge and
What about allegations of abuse towards these girls, or all the way up to sexual assault?
those were untrue because I had heard from one of the people that I met that night over at Chris's apartment that they said that yes, they had gotten together and colluded in order to get me kicked out of Cairo.
Do you think any one of those girls in particular, any certain instance that you can recall that you said they colluded? What's one specific instance that you can recall?
When I was sitting there, I was talking to this girl that was over at Chris's apartment. She had said that one of the girls in Melda had been was talking to her one night after a party and said that yes, that she had.
I'm talking about a specific instance that you say is maybe taken out of context or something of that nature. Did you ever have any sex with any of the girls from Cairo?
Yes.
How many?
About, I'd say, maybe 5.
About 5 girls. And what is sex to you?
Just, well, with them it was casual.
But to you in general, what's sex?
It depends if I meet a girl who like I really like, then it's emotional, it's caring. But if I meet a girl that if we meet for maybe a few days, maybe a few weeks, it's like a 6-month fling, something like that, or it just depends on the situation. It's either serious or it's not.
Would it be, or do you recall making a phrase to someone that sex to you is like a handshake? It's a way to say hello and it's a way to say goodbye. Do you recall making that comment to someone?
No, nothing like that. Just I've remarked that to me, it's casual at times. For some, it's not. People know that people that I get involved with, that I do get emotional and I do care for them. But it's not like it's not every instance or situation.
Has there ever been an allegation made against you for inappropriate abuse towards a female or sexual related allegation?
As far as like any of the stuff that's false in Cairo, but no, not that I would know.
Do you recall working at the South Plains Mall at a place called Image Plus
Yes, sir.
back in 2003?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall talking to an investigator with the Lubbock Police Department about an allegation that was made against you?
I do remember that. But as far as he said that that someone it was unidentified, and I was never contacted about it again.
Tell me about the instance where you went to this girl's house.
I had never went by, sir.
You never went by her
No,
house?
sir. No, sir.
That's what you're saying you recall.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall her name?
No, sir.
Do you recall how you met her?
It was there at Image Plus, I suppose, but it was never. I had told like I guess the detective or whoever it was that I had not went over there, and he followed up on an investigation. Nothing ever came up because obviously I was not the one.
How did I provide you with the case number? Oh, I see. Have you ever, or do you recall, and a lot of things I'm saying, I'm not just throwing it out there, I'm giving you an opportunity to explain your side.
Yes, sir.
You're saying you received extensive training in the Marines, and you are a Marine, correct? Completed all these courses in combat and martial arts.
Yes, sir.
Did you complete those satisfactorily?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall talking to a female and making a statement that you knew 7 different ways to kill somebody with your bare hands?
No, sir.
You say you don't recall ever saying
No, sir.
that. Would it be fair to say that you know 7 different ways to kill somebody with your bare hands?
You can, but I never.
From your training in the Marines,
Yes, sir.
did you receive any training on how to terminate someone's life with your bare hands only?
Yes.
Would it be more than one way?
Yes.
The manner that you demonstrated to me just a moment ago, in reference to this, was that any of the training that you had received?
As far as that,
The throat hold?
yes, sir.
So that was training that you had received in the Marines?
Yes, sir. But it's only meant as a submissive hold. It's not meant as lethal.
But apparently somehow it turned out to be.
Yes, sir.
Did you make any other physical contact with her? Any type of hitting?
No, sir.
Any type of shoving?
No, sir.
Did you knock her to the floor?
No, sir.
Did you push her against the wall?
No, sir.
How do you feel that you have responded? We talked about your response towards Summer, what you're saying occurred.
Yes, sir.
We've talked about how you responded towards the individual named Andrew.
Yes, sir.
How do you think you are as far as handling your temper?
Good, sir.
Good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What do you mean by good? In a violent situation, how do you think? Are you one of these individuals that can control themselves in a violent situation?
Yes, sir. Only until attacked. If I'm attacked, I will defend myself.
But you seem, I mean, we're sitting here talking and you seem very controlled individual. You're saying you're in control of your temper.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever received any kind of counseling for anger management, anything of that nature?
No, sir.
Can you explain to me why you've received this extensive training in the Marines, basically to take someone's life? You've also received training on how to resuscitate someone.
Yes, sir.
Telling me from your own words just a moment ago that you had caused this woman to be laying on the floor with no pulse, and you don't respond. You don't, you say you're in control enough to control your own temper and your own actions, and yet you say you're so out of control that you don't know what to do. You don't know how to give CPR, even though you've been trained to do that. Can you explain to me, explain to Albert, Corporal Sutton, and ultimately the district attorney's office and a jury, can you explain to me why you did that, or why you failed to act?
Because when I was sitting there on the toilet, I figured, all right, I didn't think. I was panicking. I couldn't believe what just happened. When I looked down at her, her face was covered in blood. I didn't want to put, my mouth, on her, on over her mouth. I just didn't think to do it.
Okay. And yet,
I was panicking at that point.
okay. But you had sex with her just minutes before, correct?
Yes, sir.
Intimate, vaginal, and anal sex, oral sex, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then just to recap, so I understand it correctly, you still had the presence of mind to go ahead and then go to Walmart and make these purchases we talked about of the suitcase, of the gloves, and come dispose of the body.
Yes.
How come during that process, having the exceptional or the elevated understanding of the judicial system, did you not call 911?
Because I immediately at that point I thought, my God, what did I do? I panicked about my career in the military. How would I just panicked. I can't. I don't know how else to explain this.
Would it be fair to say that you had stopped panicking when you were watching Star Wars Monday evening?
I had bought the movie just to watch, but I really wasn't paying attention.
Would it be fair to say that you had stopped panicking when you went down to the ATM and got money and went and bought lunch that Monday?
Oh yes, sir.
Okay, so at that point you stopped panicking. How come you didn't call your father, who's an attorney, and ask for advice?
Because it's not something exactly you want to say over the phone. It's something you're going to want to tell somebody up front in person.
Okay. How come, having your elevated understanding of the judicial system, you didn't go ahead and call the police at that point and get your side of the story out? I mean, you had every opportunity to call an attorney.
Yes, sir.
You're buying lunch. You're watching Star Wars. You could easily have called an attorney and had all this counseling before the police even became aware, before you left Lubbock. How come you didn't do that?
It's because I wanted to go to San Antonio and eventually talk to my dad about it. I just, I wanted to talk to you all, and I indicated from the first day that you and I had met that I did want to talk. And I've had this on my chest for the past 25 days, and it wasn't until this past Wednesday that I find out, after my attorney contacted the district attorney, that y'all actually want to sit here and talk and have the interview, because there was something obviously that nobody wanted to talk to me up until this past Wednesday. And I had wondered, what happened. I asked my attorney what happened. He said he sent a letter, and then finally we got to talking. So I've been waiting, to sit there and have this
Do you
conversation.
remember Detective Sutton and I talking with you and saying, you're going to have to be the one to reestablish contact with us? Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
Going forward on Summer, you realize what she did some of the time as a way to earn money. Do you not?
Sir, at that time I did not know.
You had no idea.
No, sir.
Um,
It wasn't
from given the night before, when you picked her up, walking in that area, you had no idea.
No, sir.
I don't have the exact dates in front of me, but I will give you that we have documentation where you've stayed at that motel a number of times.
Yes, sir.
Stayed in that venue.
Yes, sir.
I'll give you that area is frequented by what is commonly referred to as prostitutes. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You stayed there a number of times, have you not?
Yes.
That weekend, your drill unit, your Marine drill unit, was not staying at that motel, were
No, sir.
they? They were staying across town, were they not?
Yes, sir.
You chose to stay separate.
Because that's where we usually have bills. I talked to the first sergeant. He said, that's fine. We'll have the bill transferred over there. Because I had just gotten in town, I didn't have anywhere to stay at that time.
Are you saying that you were unable to stay over at where the rest of your unit was staying?
I was able to stay, but I'd already got the room. And Staff Sergeant Briscoe said, that's fine, just go ahead and stay there.
And that's the only reason? I mean, just because you had just happened to get the room?
Yes, sir. I had already went in. I said, do you have building available for the Marines? I said, yes, and they already have it.
Did you receive any prior instruction from your Marine supervisors where y'all were going to stay that weekend?
No, sir. They had just told us that we were going to have the building was going to be available, and building was always available there at the Holiday Inn.
Had you, is that standard protocol to go check into the motel like that without checking with the CEO to say where the rest of the unit is staying?
People usually do it. I mean,
Can you give names of anyone that usually does that?
I've stayed with a Marine guy named
Is that the norm, or would that be the exception? Normally not staying as a unit together.
not staying as a unit.
I mean, would that be, where you stayed off by yourself, is that more of an exception than the normal process?
I'd say so, but I mean, either way.
Let me ask you this. The rest of the times you come to Lubbock for drill,
Yes, sir.
did you stay with your unit?
I've stayed with the
Same
unit.
hotel?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Given that Summer, I'll tell you that she did earn some money that way. Did any money exchange hands between them?
No, sir.
Did y'all ever talk about money?
No, sir. So other than the fact that she wanted the money from my wallet, that was about it.
Okay. Tell me more about the money from the wallet.
She wanted the money from my wallet. I pointed to where it was. That was about it.
Where was the wallet?
It was over the nightstand.
And when did this exactly take place in the sequencing of events that you told us about?
That was the night that she pulled the knife on me.
Right. But I mean, when in the sequencing of events? Make us understand a little bit clearer. I mean, was it prior to her smoking the crack? Was it after her smoking the crack?
After.
When?
After.
It was after her smoking the crack. She pointed to the wallet and said she wanted money. Is that correct? Is this prior to or after the time that you took the crack pipe away from her?
This was after the time.
So, before, you're telling me that, if I recall this correctly, and feel free to interrupt, you're telling me that she was smoking crack and this upset you and you grabbed the crack pipe away from her, and then you turn your back on her, and then all of a sudden she pulls a knife, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now you're saying that there's a wallet, and you're saying that she asked about getting the money out of the wallet. When exactly did that happen?
That's when she grabbed the knife, she stood up, she was like, give me my pipe, this and that. I was like, all right, fine. Then she's like, oh, you know what? I was like, where's your wallet? She's like, where's your wallet? It's like, no, it's over there. As she turned, knife was away. I grabbed the knife, grabbed her hand.
What I'm going to do now, I'm going to have Detective Sutton run the camera for me, and this will only be recorded on the video portion of this interview. Corporal Sutton, if you would, go ahead and...
You gonna run the whole interview?
Huh?
You gonna run the whole interview? He said he's gonna run the camera.
He's going to run, the camera's going to be consistent, but I'm going
Oh.
to have him adjust it. I'm going to place my weapon over here. Corporal Sutton. What I would ask you to do is go ahead and step up. And with your turn here, if you would step to this angle here. And if you would get us in frame, Corporal Sutton.
I got you.
You're telling me that she had a knife, and that your back was turned.
Yes.
Okay, you would go ahead and turn.
Okay.
And you're saying that she had a knife in her right hand,
Yes, sir.
correct? Demonstrate to me in the sequence of events what had occurred in this case.
Had the pipe. I was going, looked, turned. She was sitting there. She was fumbling around in her bag.
Okay. Where's the doorway at this point? Point to the doorway.
Right there.
So there's the doorway directly in front of you.
Yes.
She's standing behind you with a knife.
Yes, sir.
Why didn't you just go to the door and leave?
It's because I didn't want her, running after me to stab me from behind.
Okay.
Were you nude?
No, sir. I had on
Shorts.
my own shorts.
Underwear or shorts?
Just regular khaki shorts.
Go ahead and put the chain of events.
Okay. So I turn around and notice that she's got the knife.
Hold on just a moment. I'm sorry to stop this, but just so we can keep the recording going. See if we're about to run out on the video. I mean, on the. Give us just a minute to make sure it's starting. Beginning side A, tape number 2, it's approximately 11:17 hours. We'll proceed on with the demonstration. She has the knife in her right hand. How is she sitting? Is she standing?
She's standing.
Okay. And the doorway's that way. Where's the bed?
Bed is right. I'd say probably about right here.
Okay.
About right there.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I'm just gonna make these movements. It's not gonna be sudden or anything.
That's fine.
All right. Just got that. This.
So you have a hold. Go ahead and continue with the hold that you say you have this hold here. Okay. She has the knife right here.
Turn this way.
Okay. She has the knife here.
Yes.
Correct. And you're holding her in this choke, and you say she's continuing to move the knife around.
It's up about right there.
Right about there. Okay. Did you sustain any cuts in here?
No, sir. There
On the
was
wrist?
there
If you go ahead and just put your hands back.
was no cuts, but
No cuts.
yeah, but I was when she was swinging the.
Okay, so
Swing it
now
around.
is it over here or is it over here?
It's right here. Keep swinging it back and forth over here, like that. And with her other hand, she's trying to sit here and like scratch at me, scratch my arm, stuff like that. So
She has this. She's trying to get. Why? What she's trying to get? I get it. I guess that you're saying with this hand.
Yes, sir. She's going. She's clawing at my shoulder, at my face.
How long do you say that this type of altercation was going on?
Oh, this?
Yes.
Oh, the whole time she's like moving it back and forth.
Okay, you're saying she's moving it back and forth. How long? The duration.
From the time that she, had the knife all the way until I was able to, until she stopped resisting.
So she stopped resisting. Time spent.
I'd say about minutes, 5 minutes.
3 to 5 minutes.
3 to 5 minutes.
Did you have any scratches on your arm?
Yes. Yes, from her other hand.
We have full documentation, body photos, abrasions that we find on. Okay. Given that Summer's actions, smoking crack, saying she wanted your money, using a knife on you, would you have felt that this may have elevated her to the realm of a possible prostitute, is what you're saying?
Turned out that way, yes.
But you're saying that she was smoking crack, threatened you, and demanded your money,
Yes, sir.
and yet you still chose not to call the police.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever been with a prostitute before?
Yes, sir.
No. What do you believe are qualities of a good Marine?
Honor, courage, commitment, telling the truth, which I should have called.
Forthright,
Yes, sir.
accountability.
Yes, sir.
As a matter of fact, that's some of the Marine code, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Do you think your actions would occur here, representing a good Marine?
In defending myself and in trying to protect myself, you have a measure of self-worth and self-preservation. As far as like not calling you right off the bat, no. As far as me wanting to contact you all, wanting to sit here have this interview, yes.
So you say that you feel that your actions are appropriate or not?
At the time when I didn't call you, no. But sitting here having this interview, telling the truth, yes.
What about your actions as far as having the presence of mind to obtaining a suitcase, gloves so that you didn't get any blood contamination, cross-contamination of DNA, disposing of the body in a dumpster, and disposing of the wallet in a different dumpster? Do you think that represented the proper actions of a Marine, a civilian,
No, sir.
anyone?
No, sir. But like I said, at that time, I was not. That wasn't a good friend of mine.
Did you know that she was pregnant?
No, sir. No, sir. That I did not. No. It wasn't until I saw the news and everything, and that she was possibly pregnant. That's the only time I ever found out. I never knew.
Have you ever had any tests for a socially transmitted disease?
Whenever we went to MEPS,
Is that in the process of Marines? Any other tests?
I've gone to Thompson Hall before.
Thompson Hall?
Yes, sir.
At TET?
Yes, sir.
I've been doing this a long time,
Yes, sir.
and I've heard an array of different stories, some true, some not true.
Yes, sir.
I'm telling you now, some of the information that you're giving us is not consistent. I'm telling you now that I'm offering you an opportunity to explain this further.
Yes, sir.
Anything you think we need to be made aware of, ultimately a jury needs to be made aware of. This is a good opportunity for you to come forward on this.
Okay, what is it specifically that you're
You're going to leave it at that. And I'm offering you an opportunity to expound on yourself, what has occurred here. Any of the events that have occurred. Is there any other details that you think the jury needs to be made aware of? Or the police department or district attorney's office?
That's what it is. I mean, that's whatever you've asked, whatever you need to know. That's all that I can offer.
Corporal Simon, do you have any questions?
Rosendo, have you ever, in your past, teenager or anything like that, have you ever had any occasion to be involved in the death of a person?
No, sir.
Okay, never any car wrecks, anything that, tragedy,
No,
sir, like that? When you talked a little bit with the Jessica,
I was gonna say when I've been in car wrecks before, but never like as far as like personally.
so you're not a person that is, quote, familiar with sorrow or death. I mean, that's just not something that's been around you.
Well, I mean, yes, I've had family members who died, but like cancer.
Some of this information that we talked about prior, the history being in the fraternity, things like that, was when you were in the fraternity, where you said there was some bad blood there with one of the guys, and then there was some stories or allegations that were there. Was there anything else ever alleged or brought up against you while you were in the fraternity?
No, just the fact that I stopped going to meetings. I didn't want to affiliate myself anymore. So they said, you still want to be part of it? It's like, no. So.
And you told Detective Bruni that you've never been with a prostitute ever in your past as a teenager. And the reason I bring those things up is that, oftentimes young college kids head off to college and they discover things that mom and daddy didn't teach them. Okay? And I'm just saying, in your early school days, I know that you were in Tech since what, 98? Okay, so several years since today. So I'm saying, if there's ever been any instances of that occurring, or just as you say here, not really knowing who you were with, but maybe finding out later.
No. I've never had to. I've never had to pay for it. I mean, I've met people, and I had sexual encounters with them, but it's never been like I've had to pay for it.
Okay. And then back to your military training, did you have specific Marine Corps? There's all types of training. In the Marine Corps, did you have specific hand-to-hand knife training?
We had just some, just a few moves, like stabs and throws with bayonets, but that's not it.
Okay, but nothing intense, no specialized courses or anything like that.
No, sir.
What did they tell you the equivalent of a 10 belt is?
It's entry level.
It's different from my time.
Yeah, it's entry level martial arts.
Okay. I have before we go through the thing.
Just two quick questions, and we kind of covered this time span
Yes, sir.
from when you left the apartment, the motel room. You're saying that you got Summer laying on the floor. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What is the time span that you left her laying on the floor from the time you left the apartment, the motel, went, purchased the suitcase, and came back and decided to put her in the suitcase? Decided that.
Probably about 15, 30 minutes.
15 to 30 minutes?
Thereabouts, yes, sir.
And when were you planning to tell anything?
I plan on.
We didn't arrest you, or Rangers didn't arrest you until Thursday.
Yes, sir.
This is 4 days after the fact.
Yes, sir.
When was it going to be convenient for you to have a conversation with your father?
I wanted to get him when he was alone. My mom and my grandmother
You're
was.
telling me that at no time in between Monday and Thursday you could have made arrangements to be alone with your father or with an attorney between Monday and Thursday?
It's just, I wanted to tell my dad, but I never actually sat there and planned a time to do it.
So you never actually even started to give this enough thought to sit down and plan a time to tell him?
I did think about it, but I never got around to it.
Never got around to it. Okay. Is there anything else that you think the district attorney's office or jury needs to be made aware of in connection with this matter?
Other than the fact that, I noticed that, she had, when I had picked her up, like the second night, I had noticed that, she was like a little discolored, like her face. She Yeah, like a couple of bruises on her back. I mean, that's about it. That's all that. That's all that I can recall as far as anything else. All I remember is that she just seemed like she didn't want to go home. She wanted, she wanted to stay as long as possible. That's about it. That's all.
Now, was that Saturday?
It was both days.
Both.
Both days. She just indicated she didn't want to go, but eventually, I was like, hey, you gotta go, and I have things to do the next day. So. She just indicated she did not, she was worried about something.
Is there anything else?
That's about it.
Let me ask one question. Did you have sex with her the first night you met her?
No.
Did y'all do anything? I mean, kissing, making out, anything like that whatsoever? Could anybody have seen you kissing her, anything like that?
No.
I have, can I ask him a couple questions?
That's fine.
Okay. Rosendo, you say that y'all were, well, at least the second night, both of you were nude.
Yes, sir.
So you saw her completely nude?
Yes, sir.
Could you tell how many months pregnant she was?
No, sir, it didn't even appear that she was pregnant.
Did she tell you she was pregnant?
No.
She didn't have a little belly?
No. No, when I was reading, hearing out the news articles and hearing just from other inmates in jail, they said that, when she was 5 weeks pregnant, but it was up until that time that I found out. I didn't even know. So, it was never my understanding that, she was pregnant.
Also, I explained to you some police reports that I got from the justice of the peace, that some of the witnesses in this case reported that she was at her home with a John.
Yes.
And there was this black guy,
Yes.
and there was and that who was. Do you know those people?
No, I don't.
Were you the John who went with her to her house?
No.
Did you ever go to her house?
No. I never pulled up in front of her house, dropped her off, like right down from the street. And from talking with other inmates there in the jail, some of them have said that Quincy, he had been there with his brother Bon, Bin, something like that. I don't know. It said that they had talked to Detective Osborne, and that they were seeing that they had been talking to him.
Maybe I need to do my investigation at the jail.
Is there anything else that you would like to add that a jury will ultimately hear in connection with this?
That's about it.
And then, are we still on?
Yes.
Okay. Now, bear in mind, and the reason that we're here, that you requested to come here, is because you wanted to clear this matter up. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, if the detective keeps saying that a jury's going to hear, you understand that a jury may or may not even hear this. You
Yes.
understand that?
Yes.
All right.
And you realize that this information has been completely recorded and
Yes.
served as a voluntary and sworn statement in connection with this criminal investigation.
Completely of unbelievable.
It's approximately 11:35 hours. This will conclude the recorded portion of this interview.